Hello everybody, it is Corey from Gemini Guitar, and this is what I'm going to be starting from today, and it's a series of lessons for beginner metal guitarists. I do occasionally get people request these sorts of lessons just because they're only literally just starting out and they have no idea about certain techniques and different things that go into playing metal guitar. So for this lesson I've designed 3 very short etudes, and each one focuses on a different rhythm, and it also includes some techniques to go along with those rhythms. Okay, so to start out with, we're going to be almost exclusively based in what's called the open position, and that just means that we're in the first 4 frets of the guitar. So the power chord shape in the open position, the main one we're using is the open E5, and the fingering approach I use for this one is with the middle finger on string 5 fret 2, and the reason for that is because I'm going to be utilizing slightly different double stop shapes rather than the power chord. Now, double stop just means a 2-note chord basically, or a group of 2 notes played together. So the first one of those is keeping the middle and then putting the 3rd at fret 3 on string 6, and that's a G note here and a B note, and that's simply a root G and it's 3rd B. When played with distortion, these can have quite a sinister and doomy sort of sound, particularly if you play them next to one another. That sort of thing. If you've got a guitarist friend, you can harmonize. The other one is leaving the middle down and then putting the first finger at fret 1 on string 6. So this is an F root note with its flatted 5th, which is the B note, and that's also referred to as a tritone interval. So to begin with, what we're going to do is we're going to play that E5 twice, and then we're going to do what's called dampening. And what we do when we dampen is we get, if you can just see this part of the hand here, we strum the chord, and you can see there I'm just putting the hand back down so it sits over the strings, mainly the lower strings there. Now, it doesn't have to be an exaggerated movement. Some people, when they do it, they end up doing this, like that or something, and then they end up, it doesn't work properly. So what you're basically doing is just coming back into playing position, but you're resting that area there just on your strings. And if you've done it correctly, the sound will be killed off, for want of a better term, although for metal it sounds like a good term, killed off. So yeah, so that's what it sounds like. And what we're going to do then is we're going to strum that again and then dampen again. Then we're going to repeat that. So the rhythm that we're using in this is the same, except for the very last bar. It's 2 8th notes followed by an 8th note rest, and then an 8th note followed by a 2-beat rest. Now all you've got to do then in the 3rd bar is just reposition, or take the 3rd finger off I should say, and then just put the 1st finger at fret 1 on string 6, and it's the same rhythm. But you're only going to play that once, and then you're going to take the finger off because we want to go back to the E5 power chord. Same rhythm though. Actually, I just noticed in the 4th bar there, that's the first ending. You'll see that, the number 1. There's also a transcription, by the way, over at the website, so you can download and print those out. But what happens then is we do the 2 8th notes, 8th rest, another 8th note, and a 1-beat rest, and then we're going to have the G root note and its 3rd there at the end. So it's... Now, if you listen to a lot of metal music and rock music in general, what you'll notice with most riffs is they have a bit of a common theme like we've been doing, which is the first 3 bars, and then generally either at the 4th or the 8th bar they have some kind of similarity but then a variation, just to convey to the listener that that's the end of the cycle and the riff's going to begin again. Now, to finish off with the second ending, what we're going to do is we're going to employ what's called palm muting. So this is similar to dampening in that we have to rest the palm on the strings, only this time what we want is to have some sound as well. So what we want to do is we want to have it so that it sounds chunky but not choked. So basically what I always use to explain to the student is, if you can see there where my palm is, if you come up too far, what tends to happen is you just get a really, basically white noise. There's no real pitch to it. But if you come back where the bridge is, just here, you get a chunky sound as opposed to the... So the difference is chunky and normal. Yeah. So that's basically the way it works. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 2 8th note string 6 palm muted, followed by the G root note in its third. Do the same pattern again, and then we're going to do basically the G root note in its third move down a half step, but we're going to use the middle and first finger. So we get... And then we're going to finish on the low E power chord. Okay, so let's have a look at a slow playthrough of this. Okay, so now we are at example 2. So last example we learned about palm muting and dampening. In this example we're going to be employing the palm muting technique, and we're going to be using an 8th note rhythm throughout, but we're going to be peppering in between that low E string palm muted with some power chords on the 6th string. So when I talk about power chords on the 6th string, what I'm really talking about is where the first finger sits. Because with power chords, these shapes that you learn here, they can be transferred to other sets of strings. So for example, we can do them here, here, there, even on the 2nd and the 1st string. On the 3rd and 2nd, we have to put the 4th finger in because of the way the guitar's tuned. And you'll also notice there's a gap of 2 between both notes. But generally, in most metal and rock music, the most commonly used power chords are found on the 6th string and the 5th string. Okay, so what's going to happen in every bar is, except slightly different in the 4th bar, is we're going to play the 8th note rhythm on string 6 palm muted. And that's going to be played 7 times, and then we're going to play a power chord at the end of the bar. So in the first bar, it's the G5 power chord. And then in the second bar, it's the F5 power chord. In the third bar, it's a G sharp power chord or A flat power chord. And in the last bar, we're actually going to look at a new technique as well. So we're going to palm mute the low 6th string 6 times this time, a little bit different. And then we're going to play a B flat power chord, and then we're going to slide that power chord shape back a semitone, or back 1 fret for each note. And that is the slide. And when you do the slide, the tricky part about it is when you first start doing it is that you might find that the fingers lose the shape as they slide. And so you get a bit bamboozled that way. But it's nothing to worry about, it's just a part of the practice process. But what you have to concentrate on is keeping the shape. What you don't want to do is lose the pressure on the notes either. So you want to maintain some pressure and then slide. Because if you lose the pressure, then you lose the notes, so it stops ringing out, and then you'd have to restrum it, which would be awkward and difficult to do. So that bar will sound like this. Okay, so here we are now for example 3. So in this example, we're employing the palm muting technique that we've learnt, and this time we're also learning about a 16th note rhythm. So far we've done quarter note and eighth note rhythm in different guises. In this case, we're going to be using the 16th note rhythm. It's reasonably easy to learn in this example because we've got it in a nice little chunk. And basically what that means is that we've got 4 16th notes, and they're covering over 1 beat. So what you're going to basically do is use the palm muting technique for the 6th string, and a little bit like we did in the last example, you wanted to use the power chord, and it's going to occur on the 2nd and the 4th beat of each bar. And they're going to be in different positions, which I'll explain as we go. So to learn the 16th note beat, it's a good idea to get out your metronome, and there will be the click track with the slower example at the end of this, but if you get your metronome out, you want to practice your palm muting technique with a low 6 so that you can fit 4 notes per beat and you can play them evenly. Now this isn't something that you can learn intellectually, it's something that you have to learn practically and by doing it. And once you get it right, you'll tend to feel it, so it'll kind of groove, I guess you might say. So the first step is to palm mute the low 6th string 4 times followed by a G power chord. Just do the same thing again in the second half of the bar, but the power chord's 1 semitone lower. Same thing again in the next bar, only up to the B flat position in the 6th fret, or at the 6th fret. Then the 4th fret for the power chord. This is loosely based on Celtic Frost, by the way. If you listen to their music, Tom G. Warrior had this thing where he'd sort of chuck in these weird sounding intervals with the power chords that sound really cool. Circle of the Tyrants is a great example of that if you want to check it out. And then in the 3rd bar, it's the same as bar 1. The 4th bar's almost the same, the first half is anyway. And then at the end there we use the F5 power chord. So let's have a look at that now with the click track. Okay, so that wraps up today's beginner metal lesson. Until the next lesson, bye for now.